Isabel grew up hearing extraordinary tales from her mother, Lourdes, the oldest of 17 siblings. Amidst such a large family, the youngest, Anna, always stood out. From a young age, Anna was different, sensitive, affectionate, with a sweet demeanor that won everyone over, especially Lourdes. The bond between the two was so strong that despite their age difference, Anna confided her secrets and fears to her older sister. During one of their trips to the town's small market, Anna befriended an elderly woman who owned a thrift store. It was a difficult time, and Isabel's grandparents couldn't afford to buy presents for their children. The thrift store owner, noticing Anna's sweetness and need, began to gift her small keepsakes with each visit. One of these presents, however, would forever change the girl's destiny: an ancient copy of the Book of Saint Cyprian. In their innocence, no one suspected the book's content. Isabel's grandmother believed it to be a religious book, perhaps of Catholic prayers. Anna, curious and intelligent, taught herself to read and, in a short time, devoured the book from beginning to end. From that moment on, her sensitivity intensified. She began to report shadowy figures and apparitions inside the house. But what was most frightening were the prophetic visions she had during sleep. Initially, the visions were harmless. Unexpected visits, small, improbable events that always came true. The family, instead of seeing the gift as a blessing, began to fear Anna, believing she was demon-possessed. The fear of the unknown spoke louder than compassion. At 11 years old, Anna had a vision that deeply disturbed her. She described to Lourdes a large house full of relatives gathered where a tragedy would occur and many people would die. Lourdes, attentive to her sister's history, was on alert. Her grandmother, however, tired of Anna's nonsense, reprimanded the girl, demanding she be normal. A few months after this premonition, Anna fell gravely ill. A severe flu struck her down, and despite the family's efforts, she did not survive. Her death was a shock, the only loss among grandparents and uncles of that generation. Many believed there was something supernatural behind the swiftness and severity of her illness. 8 months after Anna's death, the family was preparing for New Year's Eve in a coastal town. A distant, very wealthy uncle organized the gathering, inviting everyone to a huge beachfront house. Lourdes, seized by fear, immediately remembered Anna's vision. She tried to convince the family not to go, but the promise of the beach and fun for the children prevailed. Upon arriving at the house, Lourdes felt a shiver. It was exactly as Anna had described. The festive atmosphere was suffocated by a constant anguish. Lourdes, determined to protect her siblings, began to feign severe illness. She forced vomiting, refused food, until she convinced her mother to take her, along with her siblings, back home. The day after Lourdes and her siblings returned, the foretold tragedy materialized. A devastating fire engulfed the house in the early morning hours. The fire started downstairs and quickly spread to the upstairs bedrooms, making escape difficult. 15 relatives died, some carbonized, others suffocated by the smoke. Grief consumed the family, and the tragedy went down in history as one of the most painful episodes of their lives. After the fire, Lourdes revealed to the family the reason for her sudden illness. She knew, because of Anna's vision, that something terrible would happen in that house. The description given by her sister was identical to the site of the tragedy, a feeling of guilt and relief mixed with sorrow. Lourdes saved part of the family, but she could not prevent the pain of collective loss. Anna's death and the fire forever changed the family dynamic. The girl's prophetic gift, once seen as a curse, began to be remembered with respect and awe. Many began to believe that Anna was, in fact, special, a child touched by something beyond human comprehension. The trauma left deep scars. Lourdes, for many years, felt responsible for her siblings' fate. Isabel grew up hearing the story of her Aunt Anna, learning to respect the inexplicable and to trust her instincts. The Book of St. Cyprian, the origin of so many events, was lost to time, but its influence remained alive in the family's memory. The tragedy also brought the survivors closer. Fear gave way to unity, and family gatherings became surrounded by caution and prayers. Anna's memory hovered over everyone, like a silent warning that there are forces that cannot be ignored. As the years passed, Anna's story became a legend among family members. The children grew up hearing about the girl who predicted the future, about the fire that almost destroyed the family, and about Lourdes' courage in defying fate. The experience taught everyone the value of intuition, listening, and respect for the unknown. Isabel, now a teenager, feels she carries a bit of her aunt's gift. Sometimes she dreams of situations that later come true. Fear and admiration mingle, but she learned from her mother not to ignore the signs. Anna's story is a reminder that a prophetic gift can be both a burden and a blessing. In times of pain, the family learned to value warnings, to protect one another, and never to underestimate the power of the inexplicable. The supernatural, for them, ceased to be just a legend. It became part of their own history. The fire, though it took many, also saved others. Lourdes' courage in believing her sister and acting to protect her family changed everyone's destiny. Anna, even after death, continues to be a protective presence, a living memory that love and intuition can be the difference between life and tragedy. If you've ever had a strong premonition, an inexplicable warning, don't ignore it. Sometimes destiny manifests through the most sensitive among us. The story of Anna and Lourdes is a call to listen, to be courageous, and to respect what cannot be seen. In every family, there are secrets, gifts, and tragedies that shape who we are. And, as this story shows, listening can be the greatest act of love.